welcome to another edition of Travel Talk with Paul and Ed.
Hey.
Here we are in midst of the COVID-19. We're both shut in right now. Paul, how is quarantine life going in the Gamber residence?
I mean, I can't complain. I mean, I can complain, but but I'm not going to complain. We're doing fine. We're healthy. There, a couple things that are bothering me right now that are just random are my gardener has gone MIA, and I don't have a lawnmower. I mean, we've had when we lived in Texas and here, it was just traditional to have gardeners, and I don't have any lawn equipment. I don't have a lawnmower, so I got a little bit of a forest growing out back here. And, I may have to break the quarantine and go to Home Depot and buy a lawnmower here pretty soon. But other than that, we're fine. They closed down my walking trail too because people weren't being good about distancing, and so now it's just walking around the streets of the neighborhood. But other than that, I'm fine. How are you?
That's a bummer. We ended up having to close a lot of our public spaces here too, including public parks and things like that. As I touch my face, let me get some hand sanitizer here. Can't stop doing that. Can't stop touching our faces.
I watched it. I decided, speaking of that, it was a great idea to watch the movie Contagion last night for some reason. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea, because it was kind of depressing. But there's a part in there where one of the epidemiologists or doctors or whatever said that the average person touches their face 2,000 to 3,000 times a day. And I'm like, damn, if that's true. But I can see it because it's just a brush here or a touch there. I mean, just not even thinking about it. It's hard not to. So
yeah, I hear you. I just, one thing I'm really bad at, I'm a nail biter. And if I bite my nails, I'm making sure that I stop myself and put the hand sanitizer on. I still do it anyway. But anyway, guys, today since we're talking about COVID-19 and coronavirus, we're going to talk a little bit about a growing trend, something that is just I mean, I was telling Susie the other day, Paul, this is probably the best time to be stuck at home in the history of humanity. I mean, we have everything we need. We have delivery groceries, we have delivery food, we have the internet, we have phones, we have ways of keeping in touch with people, we have Zoom, we have FaceTime, we have Skype. What a great time to be stuck at home.
So true.
And, we're going to talk a little bit about virtual vacations, because this is something that's been going on actually for a while, just to experiment with the multimedia and the internet and everything, social media, and the capabilities of our technology today to be able to do this. Anyway, bring locales to people who can't necessarily go anyway. And now nobody can go. So these things are really coming to the forefront. And actually yesterday, Paul, I didn't realize this till it was too late, but it was Virtual Vacation Day.
Yeah, and the first thing,
Virtual Vacation Day.
Yeah, and that popped in. The first thing that popped into my mind is all these things I've been seeing articles about, museums to look at while you're stuck at home that have virtual, renditions, and even related to your other industry of real estate, seeing the way that they record, home tours with these. It's amazing what they can do to just experience any kind of space through this fantastic camera work. And the fact that we can go to all these great places around the world and see them while we're stuck at home. We can't have our internet die. That would be the Armageddon right there. If our internet...
Yeah. So we got to keep an eye out for that. So before I jump into that, and Paul and I were talking about that, Paul's got a brief update on some things that we're going to, some updates in the travel business.
Oh, sure. And we'll, next week we'll talk about any headlines we want to share. But one thing I did want to point out, and I think last week Royal Caribbean was the only one that had done this, but as predicted, the dominoes kind of fell, and all of the major cruise lines have now extended their suspension of service. And I just wanted to run down this list. It's interesting. Plus, if you're on the cusp here, or if you're planning on traveling on one of these lines, you have any questions, let us know and we can help. You probably have heard from them already, but Carnival has now suspended all sailings through May 11th, and their Alaska sailings through middle of June. Celebrity is also May 11th and has suspended Alaska sailings through July 1st. Disney is lagging behind a little bit. They have only suspended operations through April 28th. I expect that will change.
Well, that's interesting since their parks are.
Yeah, and I think that they may be in. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Holland America is now May 14th and suspended operations. They have not addressed the Alaska issue, which we talked about, and that is the fact that Canada has said all ports will be closed until July 1st. So if they can't find, I know Holland America and Prince are trying to figure a way around that, but it's complicated. And anyway, stay tuned if you have an Alaska sailing on any cruise line before July 1st, even if we're out of quarantine. And if they haven't changed that law, they may not happen. So anyway, Holland America was May 14. MSC is all the way out to May 29th. Norwegian is May 10th, also has not addressed the Alaska issue. Princess is also May 10th and has not addressed Alaska. And Royal Caribbean is May 11th. And they have said that Alaska, Canada, and New England cruises will not resume until July 1st. They all have different policies on what they're offering their cruisers that have been canceled, those cruisers that are missing their cruises. Anything from Carnival's doing just a future cruise credit plus a very generous onboard credit. Norwegian's offering like 125% future cruise credit. Princess is doing something where they'll allow you to cancel just about any cruise until July 31st. So anyway, that's kind of an update of where we're at with the cancellations and all of that. We'll keep you up to date on that. So
perfect. Thanks for that update, Paul.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about virtual vacations, and if you're, if you're like me, even a travel guy like me, I really didn't know these were as prominent and readily available as they are. Virtual vacations are basically ways so you can hop on a website and do a virtual tour of anything from museums to locations and state parks, things like that. Either it's been digitally photographed and stored or filmed and created as a tour, or it's some kind of a 360-degree view thing. Some of them actually work with VR players, the goggles you can put on your head, and you can actually be right there. But if you just want to view these things on your computer, it's cool as well. We're going to put together a list. Actually, we have one right now. But coming on, starting tomorrow, since we just finished up the Ireland for March slideshow posts, we're going to have for the first week, we're going to have these 12 virtual vacations you can take without traveling. So
I'm excited.
So Paul, did you want to add anything before we jump into this?
No, I'm just, this is just one list that we found. I just meant, like I mentioned earlier, if we see other things, we'll post it in the group. Or we already have posted at least one other museum post. And of course you can, check out many other resources. This is, just a list of 12 that looked really awesome, but there's a lot out there. So.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll kick off the list then. I mean, and as Paul said, this is just a sampling of some of the best ones, but there are tons and more being added every day. So Absolutely. Stay tuned to social media. Check your local tourism boards. I know the state of Arizona has a list, a link of virtual tours, virtual vacations you can take. The tourism board does one of the websites. So check your local tourism board. Check your local Facebook, maybe groups, something that has something about events, and they might have links to take walk through your local art museums or something like that too. Also very good if you're homeschooling right now, to park your kids in front of the TV, hook up your computer and go to one of these websites and do a virtual vacation with the kids for a field trip, virtual field trips. So
let's run down this list. What do we got?
Perfect. Yeah, I'm going to kick off this list with, of course, something close to home here. which is the Grand Canyon. You can have a virtual adventure at the Grand Canyon. The National Park Service does more than educate sightseers in person when they visit any of the 61 national parks. You can view the Grand Canyon via 360-degree photographs on an archaeology virtual tour. Go on a virtual hike past layers of earth, the famous Phantom Ranch, or float down the Colorado River on a rafting trip. View virtual tours, maps, and photographs on the National Parks website. That will be a link tomorrow. That one will be popping up tomorrow at about 10 a.m. Pacific. So check that one out, or just if you're anxious to go check it out, go to the Grand Canyon website, and they'll have a link right there on the front page. Paul?
That's awesome. Well, the next one is one that I was playing around with today, and that is Machu Picchu. Obviously, that is, basically one of the wonders of the world. It's an ancient citadel built in the 15th century. The views were incredible, and the interactive ability to kind of see all of the views and the vistas, the mountain views, even a llama sighting, and it was narrated with historical insight and fact as well. So it's pretty awesome. You should check out number 2, Machu Picchu, and you don't have to deal with the altitude sickness. So
right, yeah. Next one is number 3, the Sistine Chapel in Italy. You're going to want to check this one out, and because not only are you going to be able to enjoy all of Michelangelo's artwork and the beauty of the Vatican City and the Sistine Chapel, but you can avoid all the crowds right now too, even though there aren't any crowds in Italy right now. You can see the whole thing and navigate it by clicking the arrows up and down, and just look at the entire Sistine Chapel and all the Vatican grounds. Keep an eye out. There's a link right now to this article that has them all the links in them right now. So that's already published on our group page on Facebook. But then also this will pop up in our group feed. So check that one out.
Awesome. Well, number 4 on the list is a place I've always wanted to go to. I missed out on it when things were a little calmer in that part of the world, and that is Jerusalem. There are 360-degree virtual tours of Jerusalem that include the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Western Wall, Old City Markets, the Mount of Olives, and many more sites. So it's obviously important to many different religions. So I'm going to be checking out the one for Jerusalem for sure.
Excellent. Number 5 is the White House. You can actually tour the White House digitally now. You can see the Eisenhower Executive Office building positioned next to the West Wing, where the White House staff offices are located. You're going to get a 360-degree tour of the Vice Presidential Ceremonial Office, the Secretary of War Suite, the War Library, the Law Library, the Indian Treaty Room. And you can learn about how the art and decor of the White House changed with each presidential occupancy. So there's a lot of great stuff right there. Google Arts and Culture has the website for this to be able to walk through, and it has a bunch of other virtual reality tours. But that's where you'll find the White House one.
That's awesome. And number 6 is actually also brought to you by Google Arts and Culture, and that is a trip through the Guggenheim Museum in New York City. We've talked about it's got a connection to somebody we've talked about at least a couple times on Travel Talk, and that is Frank Lloyd Wright. So it's an iconic design, and of course is filled with many masterworks. Thanks to Google Arts and Culture, you can go through all of the museum's multiple floors and see and the tour highlights 600 artworks along the way, all of which you can zoom in and out, and rotate your view 360 degrees. So that is another incredible one, courtesy of Google.
Yeah. The next one is the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. That one is really neat. One of my highlights when I went to Washington was going to the Natural History Museum. I didn't even make it all the way through it, and I spent 2 days there.
Yeah.
They've got so much there. And I'm actually very relieved to know that you can take a tour of all the exhibits right there on their website, on the Smithsonian's website. Check them out.
That's awesome. Well, number 8 is some place that I got to visit just about, it's been almost 10 years ago now, maybe 9 years ago. And Steph and I got to visit when we were in New York City for a wedding, Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty in one very rainy and not very pleasant day. So, this is probably from the comfort of your own home, being able to see those is pretty awesome. The National Park Service has virtual tours of Ellis Island that were created by the Heritage Documentation Programs and also of the Statue of Liberty National Monument. And also it says that Scholastic has an informative teacher's activity guide that will allow you to see photos, listen to audio, and learn about Ellis Island on an interactive tour. So it really, truly is not just a vacation, a staycation on your TV or computer, but a great educational opportunity as well. So that's a cool one.
Yeah, the next one on the list is the Louvre. The Louvre has several different options, one of them being virtual reality goggles. You can actually go via their specific portal and see all the Egyptian antiques, the modes, and all of the works of art there. You can also go to the website of the museum itself, and there's a number of tour videos that you can look at. And then, of course, UVisit also has great 360-degree virtual reality displays of several museum galleries. So sit back and take a look at the Mona Lisa and ponder the deep questions like, what is she really smiling about?
Exactly. We'll never know.
Right.
Well, another place that is on the museum list is home to the Rosetta Stone, Greek vases, Egyptian mummies, an Easter Island statue, an Aztec double-headed serpent sculpture, and numerous other artifacts and artworks. And that is, of course, the British Museum. It is one of the most popular tourist attractions in London, and it's a great place to see impressive examples of human history, art, and culture, thanks to, again, Google. So check out the British Museum. There's a lot to see through this virtual tour.
Yeah, one more entry from Google Arts and Culture here at number 11. And that is the, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Paul, but I believe it's the Rijksmuseum
Close
in
enough.
Amsterdam. Huh?
I said that's close enough. I don't know that I could say it any better or different.
Yeah, it's the Rijksmuseum is one of the most visited museums in Amsterdam for a good reason. It's got Dutch Golden Age art by Rembrandt, Vermeer, Steen, and more. The building itself is also a work of art, and you can see the architecture as well, viewing through virtual reality with Google Arts and Culture. So check that out. The link's going to be once again on our website, on our not on our website, but on our Google or
Facebook group.
Yeah. Google, Facebook, it's
Google. Well, they're all one conglomerate anyway, right? But,
Paul, close out the list for us.
Yeah, the last one on the list is a place that would be an amazing place to visit, and that is the Great Wall of China. The fortification walls stretching thousands of miles were built in northern China to protect the country against invaders and to control trade along the Silk Road. You can wander through sections of the Great Wall of China through a virtual tour provided by UVisit, and UVisit was the one that did Machu Picchu as well. With the I haven't checked out the Great Wall one yet, but if it's anything like Machu Picchu, they had the narration as well, where you get to click on, zoom in, zoom out, see all the vistas, and that sounds like an amazing one. That would be a good one to check out. Maybe AirPlay my computer to my television and check it out on the big screen. So number 12 is the Great Wall of China.
Nice. And as I said in my post earlier today, we are committed at Getaway Gang of bringing you the best vacations that we can get you. And right now, unfortunately, the best vacations we can get you are virtual vacations. Unfortunately, that's where we're at with today's the way things are today. But maybe you can sit back and relax and enjoy an armchair tour of all these places. And like I said, there's many, 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 many more available to you. Just Google virtual tours and check out, like I said, some of your local resources and see what you can find out there. There's a whole world waiting to be explored right there on your computer screen.
Yep, and then it gets you dreaming about that trip you're going to take when we finally get released from quarantine. So
that's right. We're expecting a big boost in sales.
That's right.
Once this thing gets lifted, and we're all back to normal.
Exactly. I think everyone's going to want to take a vacation. So,
that's right.
Well, next week I think we're going to be back, like I said, with our news update with 3 or 4 of the most important and sort of impactful travel news stories of the last few weeks, and they will probably mostly be about the current situation, but I'm sure we always try to find some interesting things to get your mental juices flowing about travel that aren't related to the current pandemic. But so we'll be back next week for that. Anything else to talk about today before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. Thanks everybody for tuning in once again, and we look forward to talking with you again next week.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, guys. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.